Hi everyone, today on Talking Thursday I speak with Seb, who is a member of our purchasing department and has been with Thomas Franks for a year and a half. Seb and I talk about what he did before joining Thomas Franks. We reminisce about both of our times at uni and what his average week at Thomas Franks is like pre and post COVID. Please have a watch.
Hi Seb, how are you?
Hi Anna, I'm good, thank you. You?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. So I'm going to kind of get right stuck into a bit of your past, as it were. I know that you studied at the University of Worcester. What did you study there?
So I studied there for 3 years doing business management, covering a range of subjects, including marketing, sales, accounting and managing and measuring issues. So I think that sort of side, the managing and measuring issues with Thomas Franks is quite good from a supplier point of view, because I mean it's just constantly every client's different, every location's different, so it's good to see, and every day is different. And sort of during my time there, I built a sensory garden for a charity project using donated herbs from a local garden centre, and that was a real highlight to have that experience that I hadn't really had before, and pushing me to get involved with the local community.
So did you stay in the Worcester area then after you finished, or did you move kind of back?
No, so when I was there, I sort of darted back and forth. Sort of weekends, I'd come back to do my job, and really after that, sort of straight away came back. Unfortunately, because I mean, I really liked it, and it's quite difficult after uni to stay based in the city, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I was at UWE in Bristol, and I know I would have found it really difficult if I hadn't moved away from where I was a student and where my head was not in work mode, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so easy to, there was a few times where it was near the deadline and it could be missed just because you're so focused on, can you do an extra shift at work just for a little bit more money, and it can happen. But I mean, it managed to get through it just about.
So you have been with Thomas Franks for nearly 2 years, like a year and 6 months sort of thing. Can you tell me a bit about after uni, what you did before joining Thomas Franks?
So I was with Sainsbury's. I carried on for another year, and I've been there for about 5 years all in all. And sort of started off as a member of checkouts, and first of all, it's just to get more options for overtime. But I sort of said, whatever I can do, just if you get me trained on it, I'll do it. So I mean, I went from being on checkouts to in the bakery, shop floor, doing commercial stuff like that. And it was really good just to have, that experience across a number of departments. And I mean, the managers there were really good, focused on developing people, which was really good. And I did start a management course towards the end of my time there. But then the Thomas Franks job came along, so I thought I'd make the change and use my degree, really.
So that kind of leads on to my next question, which was, how did you get into purchasing?
So I didn't really cover purchasing at uni. It was one of the subjects that I hadn't really gone into. So I'd done sales, which is sort of the opposite side. So I thought it was an opportunity to grow my knowledge on the subject. And I mean, even in a short amount of time, the sort of year and a half that I've been here now, I've really understood a lot that I really didn't understand before, sort of, especially contracts and stuff like that wasn't really covered at uni.
So you, just before we spoke, you told me that you started off, so you and I are in the same office. On normal circumstances, it could, like purchasing, HR, marketing, creativity, are all in the same place. But you told me that you started off in accounts for a couple of months. What did you do?
So when I started off in Thomas Franks, the stables was being renovated, so it was actually even quite a small area than it is now. So I started off over in accounts, and it was, it's really helped because I know that we've got 2 separate offices, so it really helped to build the relationships with people over in accounts, which is in purchasing we do work quite closely as well to make sure our suppliers get paid on time.
And so you are purchasing officer That's kind of your job title. And what would you say your average week kind of looks like, not COVID times, on a normal basis?
Pre-COVID times, yeah. So I mean, with post-COVID, it's changed a lot. Really, it's sort of more work from home and sort of a lot more email-based and Teams. But pre-COVID, going out quite a lot to visit suppliers, sort of tying that into locations as well. So been to a few of the locations, mainly down south. Would be nice to go up north from time to time as well. But yeah, so we're meeting a lot of our family-owned local suppliers, just sort of, catching up, seeing how we can work better together, doing audits as well, especially with the sort of fresh food suppliers, and with Savona as well. I've been working quite closely with them pre-COVID, just look at projects and how we can both work together with our needs. So that's been quite good. And I do set up a lot of the new locations. So we've just had a few come on board, Oratory and Sherfield. So, working closely with the ops team to make sure the opening goes smoothly, really, because we want to start how we mean to go on.
So you kind of interact with so many different people within the business, because obviously we work quite closely in marketing with you guys. You work with accounts, and you work with you say you work with the local operations managers. Do you then get to kind of go out and visit these locations once they're kind of opened and see how that goes?
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen, I went to Wrentham quite a few times when that opened, and that's really interesting to see how that's changed. And the team over time, it's quite good to see how they really adopt with their suppliers. So like there was, pop-up days at Wrentham, some really good pictures coming back from that. And I've also seen the opposite side as well, like Marshall's in Cambridge. So I went there before we took over. That's really interesting to see how we apply our service to locations. So I mean, that was quite good. I went there with one of our suppliers, just went around Cambridge to make sure the transition went well.
So moving away from kind of work, and like I say, I ask this to everyone, and it really, I get to know people a bit more from this answer. So if you could have dinner with any 3 people in the world, who would it be, why, and what meal would you have?
Oof, this is probably one of the hardest questions, to be honest, when they sent it across earlier. So I mean, I quite like football, and I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'd like to have dinner with Arsene Wenger, because I think he's quite knowledgeable about football and all the stories throughout the years they'd be able to tell about behind the scenes and stuff like that. And then from sort of more of a food perspective, I've gone for Gordon Ramsay, because I think he's such a character, really. And you see like him doing that thing with Fred and Gino. I think it'd be a good character, and he'd be able to talk about food trends and kitchen nightmares as well. So I think that's I always love a bit of that. And then a third, I think maybe like David Attenborough. I think he's quite a good. I think a lot of people say that as well. So I think that seeing that, like what he's seen in his lifetime and how things are changing, that'd be really good.
And what meal would you have?
Meal. Probably go for pizza. It'd have to be just a share of a pizza, and can't beat that.
And finally, what would you say has been your favourite memory from Thomas Franks?
Favourite memory? Trying to think like a single one. I think sort of the Christmas dinner was really nice. I think that was probably like where you really get to meet people that you haven't. You always communicate over the phone or by email, and I think to put face to a name is really good. That's a nice moment, and it sort of showed the like family values of Thomas Franks. Frank standing up and congratulating people on the year and talking about how we're working well together. That was probably the highlight for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to say that is, if I was asked that, that's probably one of my favourite memories, because I think you're right. We do a lot of stuff over the phone, emailing, but actually it's just nice when we're all in the same room and getting, putting a face to a name, really, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, like we cover such a vast area of the country. So I mean, you can't always get up to these locations like Scotland and stuff like that from the Midlands where I am. It's not easy, but when people come down to one area and can talk, and it's just good, and it's sort of out of that work setting as well, to get to know people.
Well, thank you very much for speaking with me.
Thank you, Anna.
And I will hope to see you in the office sometime soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon.